Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this presentation today. And thank you to Spooky2 for hosting me on this platform. I really hope that this will be helpful to all of you. We have 143 participants at the moment in this webinar. And I really hope that this will help. Last time I took away a lot of the feedback and some of you really loved it, but I know it was really fast paced last time. And I think it was just because Spooky2 software is a really massive topic to discuss. And I just thought I wanted to get through as much of it as I could all in one video because it was recorded later and uploaded as a video. So I just wanted to get as much of it as I could. But I'm aware that a lot of you are complete beginners, and for some other beginners it was too much. So that came through in the feedback as well, that it was a lot of information. So this time I'm going to take it easy for myself and for you. And I'm going to try and, kind of go at a pace that's going to be helpful for those of you that are complete beginners. And those of you who are a little bit more practiced, you might find this a bit of a revision session. But just to get started, it'll be good to know, who of you have used remote before? Have you used the Spooky2 Remote? This presentation is about the Spooky2 Remote. So yeah, who hasn't used the Spooky2 Remote? Let me know if you haven't used it. Yeah, so some of you haven't used it. Now, those that are saying that you haven't used it, have you used any Spooky2, or are you just here because you're interested in Spooky2? Scalar, yeah, contact. Okay. Right, okay, that's really good. So you can see just from the responses in the chat that there really is a very diverse audience here. Some of you haven't used it, some of you use it all the time. Some of you haven't used any Spooky2, some of you have used Spooky2 a lot, use it all the time. So it's really quite a diverse audience, and it can be a bit tricky to cater a presentation to such a diverse audience, but I'll try my best. Obviously, I can't change what I've already made here in the presentation, but what you can do is, if there's something that you want me to go over again while I'm going through it, then just let me know in the chat box. And whenever I can next look at the chat box, then I will try and clarify the thing that I need to clarify. If you have specific questions, please put them in the Q&A section, and then I can answer them at the end. So we'll have a Q&A section at the end. I will try and open up the mic at the end as well and see if I can get some of you to talk live and speak live. But that will come right at the end of the presentation. Okay. Hope that's okay for everyone. Right. So just a little bit about me. Like last time I had a slide, but I got some feedback that I talked too much about my journey. So I didn't put a slide this time. I thought I'll just keep it really brief. So I'm not a medical doctor. I have a PhD, so that's why I have that title. It's in cell biology. I spent a lot of time in academia, and then I decided to move out of that and go into industry. I worked in biotech for a long time, and then I decided to quit and follow my passions after I went through some very difficult personal journeys, one of which I've publicized in the registration for this event, where there was a little blurb explaining that my dad had a run-in with brain cancer and sadly passed away, and that really was the turning point for me, and that's why I felt that I have to switch up my journey in life a little bit and make some bold moves, and I left my biotech career basically, and now I'm here, and it's really surreal. And last time I did the webinar, at the end I was feeling like it was so surreal for me to be here doing this, because I could never have foreseen being here right now at this stage of my life. Even 3.5 years ago, I could not have seen that. So it's really funny where life takes you sometimes. But I feel so happy to be here, and I feel that I'm here for a purpose. And that's about it for my journey, because I know some of you will just want to get straight into this. So we'll go on to the next slide. So the contents of this presentation, this webinar, will be just to keep it really simple, it'll be what is a Spooky2 Remote? What does it do? How does it work? What are the benefits of it? What are the key features of it? What safety and usage guidelines do you have to keep in mind? what are some of the practical applications, what are some case studies and testimonials of where it has worked really well, and how to get started. So there will be a live demo of how to run the remote, and then we'll have a Q&A session at the end and some discussion. So I've actually got it with me here to show you. I know I'm in a tiny screen, so you might not be able to see very well, but I'll bring it close to the camera. So this is a remote that I've connected to an XM generator. So this is the XM generator. As you can see, it's just got one generator on this. I know there are many of these connections, but you can only attach one thing to it at a time. So I've attached the remote here, which I've attached to the boost. So this is a boost. When you use the remote, you have to use this and then you attach it to the generator. There's also another kind of generator, which is a silver one, and that's a Generator X Pro, and that has two generators to it. So you can attach two remotes to that one. So what is a remote? The remote is an advanced non-contact frequency therapy device that transmits healing frequencies over any distance through the principle of quantum entanglement. And you know, the quantum world is very exciting, very interesting, and it contradicts normal physics. So it is a field that is constantly growing. There's a lot of research going into it. You know, there are computers as well. There's research going into quant bits for computers, and just the concept of quantum entanglement in biology and medicine is also one that is very fascinating, and it's getting researched. It's not getting researched as much as it should have been, but it's starting to pick up some speed, especially since the Nobel Prize was won in 2022 to prove the principle of quantum entanglement. So basically, in a nutshell, what the remote does is it will transmit frequencies from the remote to your DNA, which is inside the remote. So, you know, I showed you the remote here. So I'll just take it off for 1 second. So when you take it off, it's really easy to do. Do you need two hands for it? Okay, it's usually easy to do. There we are. So yeah, I've just put my sample in there right now. To make that sample, all I did is, whoop, there it goes on the floor. Oops, don't do that. It will probably get damaged. But you have a sticker that I folded in half, but I put my nail clipping inside there. Sometimes people will ask questions, which I also did at the beginning, which was how much nail do you need? You don't need very much because, you know, DNA is a very tiny molecule that you can't even see with your eyes. So you don't need very much of it. And the DNA is kind of concentrated more towards the nail bed of your nail. So when you do cut, I try to cut deep enough to get to, you know, like the nail bed. And then, so it doesn't really matter from then how much you're putting in there from there. So what I normally do is I put my initials on it, and then I put the date. So I'll put the month and year, and there's my sample. And then I put that into the remote in there, in that little compartment. And that's it. So you want to make sure this is shut there. Make sure that's shut. And then you can just attach this onto the boost. So it goes into the BN port. So this is a boost, which I've attached to the out one, out two. Okay, and then you just, that will lock in when you put it in. Can you see that? Yeah, that will lock in. As in, you will hear a sort of click when it goes in, and then you just have to twist it so that it's secure. So now mine's twisted into place, it won't fall off. And that's it. And then you connect the boost to the generator as well, or you can do that first and attach the remote. It doesn't really matter which order. And then you've got at the back of the generator, you've got some connections. So you connect to the computer with this. Sorry, with this, the USB. You connect with the to the computer with that, the USB lead, which comes with it. And then you also have a power cord that comes with it, and you put that into there. and then connect that to your socket. And that's it. So it's just 2 leads, 2 wires that you connect to your computer, and then you can run the programs on there. So the first application, which I've already mentioned, is transmitting frequencies to your DNA. There is a second application for the remote, and that is to imprint stickers to transmit healing frequencies. Now, I'm not going to talk about that today because that's not beginner level. That's more advanced. You know, you have to kind of be comfortable with making programs and all the other things first before you can move on to doing that. So we're not going to go into that in detail. There won't be enough time. But I know that there was a webinar dedicated to imprinting. So you can go back through the recordings and have a look for that webinar, or there are plenty of others that are on YouTube as well about that specific application. So what are the key features? The key features of the remote are that it provides non-invasive healing. It's there's no physical contact required. So, you know, you can be anywhere in the world and it will help you. It should provide some benefit to you if you're receptive to frequency healing. It also has customizable programs. So you can choose from over 60,000 free frequency presets and frequencies in the database and create personalized treatments from biofeedback. And I find that this is the best thing about it, is that, you know, none of us are exactly like each other. So we all have different needs and requirements, and what may work for one may not work for another person. So that's when, you know, something like biofeedback would be very helpful, because you can pick up your own frequencies in that and send them back to your body, so that it becomes personalized and helpful for you. So at the very least, you know, biofeedback can help you, even if other presets can't. And this can be helpful, say, if you're feeling not very well and you've been to the doctors many times and they don't know what it is that you have, they can't seem to diagnose you. You don't have to wait for months or years to get a diagnosis. You can actually start trying to, you know, facilitate your body to heal itself right at home. So you can, you know, just run a biofeedback scan. It'll pick up something. Don't look at the reverse lookup to diagnose yourself, because that's not what it's for. But you can, you know, you can have a look at that just out of interest, but don't use it to diagnose yourself. And then you can send those frequencies back at you, and you can see if that helps you to heal or not. Maybe that will. Also, what's great about the remote is that it's a 24/7 operation. It can be run continuously for long-term healing benefits. And that means, you know, because you're not attached to the system, you can be anywhere in the world. You can run it constantly, 24/7. I've got a rig like the one you can see in the picture right there. That's actually my own rig. And I recently moved that a few months ago to downstairs. There's actually a story linked with this, which I'll come to later. So I moved it downstairs and I set it up like this, and it's running 24/7. Sometimes people ask, you know, how do you know how long to use it for? And should you be running things 24/7? My answer to that is, if it's a frequency that is like a single frequency that you're running again and again, maybe you don't need to run it for a very long time, because you might get frequency fatigue. If it's a lot of frequencies, then it should be fine to, like, in principle, to run it for a long time. I have multiple remotes running on more than one person, or even on one person, and I've not experienced a negative side effect from doing that. But if I do feel tired and I suspect that it might be frequency, I would just stop it and see if I feel any different. So yeah, you can treat multiple individuals and conditions simultaneously, and that's one of the best features of this as well. It's very interesting and it's very fascinating how this works. And, you know, you can just have a look at, if you're new, because I know quite a few of you are new and you don't have this equipment yet, but if you go through the testimonials and you have a look on Facebook and elsewhere on the website, etc., you will see how many people actually feel something from doing this. So even though it's not been completely validated by science yet, it's doing something. I mean, it's hard to believe that, you know, thousands of people can be having a placebo effect. I mean, even if it was a placebo effect, that's amazing that it's helping people in such a big way, and some people in a very drastic manner. But yeah, there are countless numbers of people. I'm just going to have a look at the chat to see if you're understanding. Yeah, let's see. Been running frequencies for months for tooth and gum. Yeah, thank you very much, Joe. Yeah, Paul, please put your questions in the questions and answers box. Thanks, Jill, for reminding them. Can you use hair? Yes, you can use hair. You can use hair, but I would say that it's better to use a nail just because it's easier to do. And if you're using a hair, you would want to get the bulb of the hair in there for the DNA sample. So not just myself, but many other people prefer to use nails because it's easier to do that. Okay, so some of the benefits of Spooky2 is an enhanced quality of life, increased convenience and flexibility, continuous wellness support. So a lot of people that say that they're not feeling anything, sometimes the changes can be so subtle, especially if you don't have many symptoms of an issue to begin with. You might not feel much difference, whereas somebody who's suffering with pain might feel something more easily because they had the pain and now they don't have the pain after using the remote for a few days or weeks or months. You know, the ones that don't feel anything, they might notice that generally they're just, you know, they might feel just generally better. Like, for example, for myself, I currently don't have any health conditions, but I find that before, when I was felt that, oh, maybe I'm feeling a bit tired or fatigued, should take a supplement, I'm not feeling that as much. So I don't really need to take a supplement. I don't need to take something. So do I think Spooky2 has a role to play in that? Yes, I do. I do think so, because that's the one thing that I'm using constantly. So that's just an example. That's my own example, but that's how it can give you continuous wellness support, even when you don't realize it. You might find that you're not as dependent on medications anymore. Now, I've got experience, you know, with others where they've had diabetes, for example, and they're finding that suddenly, you know, taking a metformin is dropping their blood sugar too much. So I'll say, cut back on the metformin. Clearly, you don't need it as much anymore. And then they stop, and then their blood sugar is stable. So it's helping. When you see results like that, you find that they don't need their blood pressure medications as much, or, you know, you will find that getting to the root cause of the issue. And sometimes, you know, that can be done through frequency healing. And if you can do that, then you will find a reduction in the dependence of medications. But sometimes you might not be able to get through the root cause, because frequency healing can also give you symptomatic relief. So if you're using it for symptomatic relief, for example, you're using MW emulate, where you're kind of emulating the frequencies of medications, then just as medications can't cure you, those frequencies will also not cure you. They won't reach the root cause of the issue. So if you stop running the frequencies, then your symptoms will come back. So even if you're reducing your medications, you're still relying on a kind of a source of a medication, even if it's not physical, it's a frequency version of it, but you're still relying on that for symptomatic relief. So that's something to be wary of, that, you know, you won't necessarily get cured if you're not running something that's touching the root cause of your health condition. So I should have also put a disclaimer at the beginning to say that, you know, this isn't medical advice. So please don't take this presentation as me giving you medical advice. Like I said, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm talking from experience, from the experience of myself using this, from the experience of others I've helped, and also from the experience of countless testimonials that I've seen and read. I know that this has something special to it. So, you know, that's what I'm sharing here today. If you feel more comfortable speaking to a doctor and getting, you know, conventional care, then, you know, by all means, go down that route. Okay, so like I said, this is holistic healing. This is helping your body, equipping your body, taking ownership of your own health to get better and to feel better and to enjoy a better quality of life. I'm just going to have a quick check again of the... Right, I'm just having a look at the chat box. Yeah, please can you put the questions in the Q&A? Please put them there. Okay, I think some of you are sharing stories, which is nice. Let's see what we've got. One second. So Victoria, you cured your daughter with the placebo effect. Is that true? It's actually amazing. I mean, I was reading Joe Dispenza's book about the placebo effect. I've not finished reading it yet, but he has some stories where it has got a lot of weight to it. Remarkable result. She's a true believer now. But it's just that placebo doesn't work for everybody. My gums are healthier. I managed to save a tooth up till now. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm not going to spend a lot more time on this, just like another 20 seconds because I'm reading. I will lose this afterwards, you see. I won't be able to get access to the chat afterwards, so I'd rather keep up with it as I'm going along. She had given me a nail sample. About her knowing 2 weeks later, she came and asked me. She told me that her hair falling out cuts. Oh, that's an interesting story. What hair programs did you run, Victoria? How many generators? I mean, this should be in the Q&A, but I'm just going to quickly answer it because I just showed it in the last slide. Generators, how many generators you can connect to one computer? Many. I don't know if there is a limit. As many as you can, but obviously the more you connect, the more space you need to put all those generators in one place, one area together. And so you'll be limited by space. Whereas if you have a few rigs like that are spread around your space, like your house or your flat, then it might be easier to manage. So you have space limitations there. And then also, if you have a computer that has low processing speed, then that will be a limiting factor as well. That's great, Denise. Female pattern hair loss. Oh, was that from, that must have been from the DH experimental frequencies, I guess. Oh, interesting. That's great. That's great. That's great to hear. Okay, now going back to the presentation. So yeah, generated frequencies provide therapy in 2 forms, bioresonance and rifing. So rifing is kind of where you're targeting the pathogens and issues like mold, viruses, bacteria. And then bioresonance will be more kind of supporting healing and things like Schumann resonance will be very healing for you, will come under the bioresonance rather than the rifing category. And then when you're supporting your organs, like liver support, that will come under bioresonance. So it really depends on how that preset and program looks. So just to explain preset and programs as well, because someone did tell me last time that they didn't know what that was. So presets is kind of, a preset is kind of like a full recipe. So you have the what, the how, everything in there. You will have frequencies in there and the settings, how long the programs need to run for, the waveforms, all of that information and more will be in a preset. Whereas in a program, you've got just the frequencies. So it won't come with the settings for the waveforms, or, you won't know, it won't be attached to all the information on how to run it. It will just be the what, it will just be the frequencies. So I hope that makes sense. That's the difference between the program and the preset. The preset has everything and the program doesn't. So you have to run the programs with the presets. If you're doing a custom situation where you've got the custom preset and program, you have to select a preset to put the custom program in to be able to run it. Otherwise, you know, the remote won't know that you're running it for remote and how to run it, how to translate the information that you're putting in into output. So that's the difference there. So quantum entanglement, I did mention this a few times, but have I really explained what it is? I don't think so. This principle enables instantaneous communication between entangled particles regardless of distance and time. So if you take two particles that are entangled and you separate them, you force them to go in opposite directions. What's surprising is that what's happening to one particle is being mirrored by what's happening to the other particle, even though they're separated by space. And this defies normal physics laws. And that's the reason why scientists won this award in 2022, the Nobel Prize, which was awarded to scientists that looked, again, revisited and reproduced Bell's theorem's experiments. And that was in the 1980s that they reproduced those. And then, you know, more than 40 years later, they won the Nobel Prize for it. So it's super interesting. The original experiments, I believe, were done in the 1950s or 60s. I think it was the 1960s by the Bell team. But yes, reproduced later. And the scientists that reproduced the experiments are the ones that got the prize. So the practical application, sorry, I just need to move this window. The practical application of Spooky2 is to leverage this phenomenon to send frequencies directly to the user through their DNA. Okay, so that's how it all links together. So your DNA is composed of particles, and what you throw at the DNA inside a remote will be not really felt, but it will be received by the DNA that's in your body because your DNA is entangled. So it doesn't matter where it is, it will still affect you. Kind of scary when you think about it. I can see why Spooky2 has that name. Okay, so this is a timeline of quantum entanglement where I have the dates, which is great because I couldn't remember a second ago. So in 1905, Albert Einstein proposed the concept of quantum mechanics. In 1935, Einstein, Podolsky, and Rosen described spooky action at a distance. Yeah, that's how that phrase became very popularized. 1964, John Bell formulated the Bell's theorem, providing a testable way to prove entanglement. And then the first experimental confirmation of Bell's theorem was done by John Clauser in 1970. So the first experiments were done in the 1960s, and then they were repeated again a couple of decades later. And then, like I said, you know, the Nobel Prize was awarded. Okay. Right, so I think, did I miss a slide? Yeah, this one. Yeah, okay, this is a history of rifing. 1920s was when Dr. Raymond Rife discovered that specific frequencies can destroy pathogens. And in the 1930s, he successfully treated his patients, but his work faced a lot of opposition. He was effectively censored and then cancelled. In 1940s to 50s, there was great suppression and active efforts by authorities to suppress his research and his lifetime work. You know, his lab got raided, his proof and his research got deleted, and it made him a very depressed man in his last few days, sadly. And it's just because, you know, as we know, there are vested interests to suppress cures and the answers to diseases and illnesses that will then threaten big business profits. So that's basically what happened. And then in the present day, devices like Spooky2 have brought back Rife's frequency therapy to the public. And Spooky2 is one of the leaders in this. When I did my research a few years back, I remember, I kept on seeing Spooky2, I think True Rife and a couple of others, but Spooky2 was the one that seemed to be the most versatile option, the most affordable, and I thought it had really good ethics as well. So that's how I ended up choosing Spooky2 myself. And then these are some really important quotes from Albert Einstein and Nikola Tesla. The future of medicine will be the medicine of frequencies. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Right, so just some safety and usage guidelines. Do avoid if you are pregnant. And obviously, this, like I said, Spooky2 works effectively. I've seen it for myself that it really can work. However, because it's not been well researched enough and there isn't enough data out there to know if it's safe or not to use in pregnancy, it's better to take caution if you have any, if you have that, or if you even have epilepsy and you are using contact with remote, that is unlikely to be a problem, but still discuss with your doctor. I don't think epilepsy is contraindicated in using the remote, but I think, it doesn't harm to just consult with your doctor if you're unsure, if you're taking medicines or you're, frail or weak. You might want to seek medical advice first. And also if you're particularly sensitive to unusual things as well, then, you might want to just think and take it slow. It's always a good idea to take it slow. And also if you do something like terrain, a detox protocol, which is often recommended when you first get the remote, then it's always a good idea to monitor yourself in the first couple of days, see how you're getting on. If you're feeling uneasy or you're feeling fatigued or you get other kind of detox symptoms, or even a Herxheimer reaction, which is a bit more of a severe form of detox reaction, which can happen when you have too much detox happening at one time and your body gets overloaded and is trying to eliminate it, but is struggling to do so. You might get, severe headaches, fatigue, etc. If you get that, and there are many other symptoms as well, so this is not an exhaustive list, then you might just want to either stop it, pause it, or you could, take some binders, drink lots of water. You can add some lemon to it to help with your body in eliminating that toxin buildup. And you can even just choose some of the low power settings. There is a low power program as well in there, which I can show you later. So you can do a few things to help minimize side effects and unwanted reactions. I'd also recommend following the user manual. Whenever you get your Spooky2 equipment, it will come with a manual. And you will get a quick guide. It's called a Spooky2 quick guide. You can have a look at that to get started and also watch the YouTube videos. I personally learn better by watching videos, so I prefer using the videos, but once you're somewhat familiar with how things look and what the pieces are, then you can refer to the manual. So I hope that is some help and guidance on safety. I'm just going to have a quick look to see if anyone has any comments on what I've been talking about so far. Yes, so you can be more than 6,000 miles away from the spooky and it should still work. You can even be on the moon and it should still work. Okay, right, I'm going to keep going. Okay, so the practical applications, I've touched on sort of an aspect of this before, but really what I've done here is I've categorized the main applications in real terms for your health. So you've got pain relief, you've got acute conditions. So if you've had injuries, sprains, a short-term ailment that's just kind of sporadically happened out of the blue, then it can help with that. You can use other healing modes as well, other than just the remote, to help with that, like cold laser, like scalar, like contact mode, to help with acute conditions, and then chronic supports conditions like arthritis. Again, scalar you can use in addition. So with, the remote is considered to be quite a gentle form of healing. So you can supplement it with those that are a little more, a bit less gentle, a little bit, well, they're still gentle, but they're more felt by the body, like through contact. So you can supplement it with these other modes of contact and healing to help heal those issues. If you have a chronic condition, that's a condition that you've had for some time. You might have had it for weeks, months, years, and it's a condition that you're living with. So you can use the remote to help with that. The remote helps with all of these, by the way. So it helps with detoxification. I know that there is a cancer protocol as well, of which the remote also plays a key role in supporting detox, especially. And then, you can just keep it running for so many things. It's really quite limitless in what you can do with it. But you can also use it for emotional wellness, spiritual wellness, and immune support, because there are programs in there that help literally with everything that's listed here and more. Okay, so I'm just checking. Yeah. Right, so this is a case study. Now, since I wrote this, there have been a few updates, so I will tell you everything honestly. So my mum has had type 1 trigeminal neuralgia. It's also known as a suicide disease because the pain is excruciatingly awful. And she's had this since 2013. This condition is thought to be caused by nerve damage, exacerbating by lifestyle factors such as high blood pressure and stress. She had a severe flare-up in December 2023 when she was 63 years old. The pain got so bad that she was housebound, and this was actually kind of aggravated by personal situation, when my dad passed away. So it was very difficult at that time for all of us. And I believe that was one of the causes of the flare-up. But I think another cause was the COVID jab. She had one. So I think that has something to do with it too. But it was so bad that she couldn't wash her face, she couldn't brush her teeth. It woke her up at nighttime. The kind of food and drink that she could have was so limited because even chewing triggered her pain. So she had to stay inside. She couldn't eat very much. She couldn't drink much. So she actually ate and drank nothing, even I remember for a whole day, because she couldn't, it was too painful. So I started using the remote in addition to the Fanatron, so the plasma, the central, there are a few different words for the central machine, but the one with the big bulb. Yeah, that I used that one as well on her to try and bring this under control. She was hospitalized, and there they gave her some, can't remember which one it was, amitriptyline, I think it's called. Yeah, they gave her amitriptyline and it didn't help. They gave her morphine, didn't really help. So they couldn't do anything more. They had to discharge her. And when she came home, then I thought, okay, let's try and do this. And then I started on a number of things all at once, because sometimes the more the better. And so I ran a number of remotes. I ran the scalar, I ran the Fanatron. The Fanatron and the scalar I didn't run at the same time, but the scalar was kind of playing a supportive role overnight, and the Fanatron I was using in the daytime. And then I was using all of these remotes that's listed. And I found that within a couple of weeks, her symptoms started reducing. And a few weeks later, they were completely controlled. And it was amazing because, all we were doing was remotes and supplements, no medicines, because medicines just were not working for her. And she'd been using them for quite a long time. However, when I wrote this, at that time, she still was not having any symptoms, and it had been well over a year. And I thought, this is remarkable. However, in the past, I think it's about 2 months now. So what happened is I moved all of my remotes from upstairs to downstairs. And when I did that, I had a lot of remotes at that time running on my mum. So all of these I've been running for, about a year or so, or more than that. And I thought, I think she's better now, or maybe, you know, I don't know if this is still healing her or if it's still benefiting her. So I didn't actually, what I should have done is I should have taken a note of all the programs and everything that I was running, and I didn't. Although I did memorize a few of them. So I moved everything downstairs, and then within a day or two, she started to feel something, a bit of sensitivity in her face. And you know, and then fast forward, she started to get pain again. So, I mean, even though her pain that's come back is not as bad as it was last year, like she's not got to this point, she's still, you know, functional and everything's still fine. But she did start getting some episodes, and then I had to control it by doing a few things with the Spooky2 equipment. So it's back under control now, but it took a couple of months to get there, and it's not fully gone, but her pain has totally changed. So before, where you know, she couldn't touch her face because it would get painful. So she can now touch her face, but she still gets some pain at other times, like when she's eating. When she starts eating, for example, she'll get a bit of a pain. But they're not as long as they used to be. The episodes are much, much shorter now, and they're much weaker in severity. And so the pain has really changed now. And I wonder, and I will ask for an MRI scan when she goes for her next neurology appointment, because she's not had an MRI scan since 2013, which is a long time. And it's funny that the doctors will still keep referring to the MRI scan that she had, you know, more than a decade ago, which is really bizarre to me. But anyway, so next time she has an appointment, which is in later this year, I hope to go with her and ask for another MRI scan so we can see what's going on. But what I think is probably happening, or what has happened, is I think Spooky2 was helping to heal her. And because, you know, I was running so many programs, some of which I've not listed here because I started those later. But one was for the repair of her myelin sheath, like the cover of the nerve. And I stopped running that. So, you know, nerves take years to heal. So if you're not continuously running a program that's helping to heal something that takes forever to heal, then it just, you know, it will just stop, that process will stop, and then you might start getting symptoms again. So I think that's probably what happened. But I don't know. At the moment, it's theoretical. I will need to look at the MRI scan results to have a bit of a better idea of what's going on. But it was just super interesting how it seemed to coincide with me moving the Spooky2 equipment and not running all the programs that I was running on her before. So, but I have to say, you know, I've been able to keep her under control by using Spooky2 a number of ways. Some of them I won't have time to discuss right now, but it was, yeah, it's an amazing journey. And then these are some experiences with friends. So yeah, this top one, this was quite a funny one. She said, funnily enough, I had a couple of glasses of wine on Friday night, and I drink very little these days, but was amazed that I didn't feel not one little bit of groggy on Saturday morning. Thank you so much. I can honestly feel it's done something. And then I have another friend that said, I feel great. He experienced emotional release, anger. Yeah, he phoned me on a day when it was on the liver. So this is a terrain program that I'm referring to. I remember him phoning me and saying, I've been feeling really angry today and irritable. Do you know why that could be? Like, why am I suddenly feeling really angry? He's like, I've been feeling really upset and I've been lashing out at my family, and I don't know why I'm being like this. And then I said, 1 second, let me just go up and check. And then I remember going and checking where it was in the preset, and it was on the liver detox. And then I had to look at, because I'm also an emotion code practitioner, so I remember looking at the table in the emotion code book, and I remember looking at that and thinking, well, actually the liver is associated with anger and irritability. And I said, this is why this is happening, or why it seems to be happening, because you know, you're detoxing from there, something's coming out of there, and it's causing this release emotionally as well, because our organs also produce emotions. So it just makes sense that if you're clearing it out, then there's all this kind of garbage coming out, and some of it in the form of emotions as well. And then I had another friend who said, I'm now having regular, so these are all, you know, people from my friends and my network that have been helping. I'm now having regular daily bowel movements, yeah, this was actually quite an extreme example. One of my friends who, she had really, really bad constipation, and I was surprised actually to hear that the terrain had fixed it, and it had helped her to go back to being regular and healthy again. So yeah, those are real life experiences, but then these are from customer testimonials. So these are picked up from, oh, they're in brackets where I picked them up from, because I was trying to remember where did I get it from. So yes, I got it from the various Spooky2 websites, and you can have a look at those. Again, very positive healing effects. And then I have seen those that say that it has not helped them. And my explanation for that would be that the frequencies that you've been running just haven't resonated with you, or either you have used frequencies that have had a subtle effect on you that you can't consciously see. Maybe it's helping, but you don't know. Or maybe it just hasn't helped because the right frequency hasn't resonated with you. So those are the two possibilities that I can think of. Maybe there'll be more factual evidence to surface once all of this is investigated a lot more. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, I'm not going to do the second one, so please ignore that second step. We're not going to do imprinting because, like I said, it's not beginner level, but we will look at how to run a program. So let's do that. I'm going to have a quick look at the chat. Is there anything that you want to comment on right now? Not questions, but just comments. Put the questions in the Q&A box, please. That'll be really kind of you to do that, because then I can go through them at the end. But if there's any comments you want to make. Thank you. That's it, person. Okay, that's good to know, Monica, that you've done BFB with contact and scale on an epileptic person. And yeah, I mean, if they give you consent to do that and they're confident that they can handle it, and you know that you need to stop as soon as if there are any negative reactions, and that's fine. And it's great to know that they were fine with it, and thank you for sharing. That's really good to know. Amal Douglas, good to see you here. Are you asking, so I've got a PhD in cell biology, just to answer your question, but please do put the questions in the Q&A. But yeah, I know Amal Douglas is another trainer for Spooky2, so it's good to see you here. Thanks for watching. Oh, wow, that's amazing, Marilyn. So you've seen people use the remote last summer and the results were amazing. I know, it's so hard to believe, isn't it? It's hard to believe that this stuff works because you don't see anything physically happening. Like when you have a massage, you feel the massage. But with this, sometimes you just hear some of the frequencies, and it's just amazing that it actually does something in such a significant way. Yeah, Greg, I'm going to quickly answer it here, but I would like that question to go in Q&A. Yes, I do use more laptops with other equipment. You can do that. You can have multiple setups. Okay. And then, oh, the role. Yeah, I'm not talking about imprinting in this one, but please feel free to go to the imprinting webinars for more information. This is a beginner-oriented presentation. Imprinting is not beginner level. Yeah, I already did that, Jill. So I demonstrated, I don't know if you were here at the beginning, but I did show the remote, and that's a fingernail box. And I showed that I put the sticker in there. But I will go through a live demo now using the software. Okay, so I'll do that now. I think I've gone through the comments. Right, so let's do that. So now we're going to do that now, Jill. Yeah, thanks for that. Sorry, need to go back. We're not on here yet. Have I been clicking slides that whole time, not realizing? No, I didn't. I just didn't know how, didn't I? Okay. I need to now share. Sorry, 1 second. Let's see if I can do this. Right, I need to share the window where I can show you. Yeah, so that seems to be working. Okay, so here we are. Now, to get the software, I did a whole presentation last time about software and what to do with it, how to use it, etc. We're going to go through basics again today, just so that you can run the remote yourself. So what you will need to do first, if you don't have this software, is you have to go to spooky2.com, spooky2.com, and then go to the downloads tab. There is a downloads tab, and you scroll down, go to download starter pack, and then click that link and follow all the prompts that come to you. And then that should help you to install everything that you need to be able to run the software. You don't need to have the software. Sorry, you don't need to have the Spooky2 equipment to be able to run the software. You can run the software even before you have anything. So right now, I don't have anything connected to this right now, but I'm still able to use it in test mode, as you can see up there. So this is how it will look if you're using it in test mode. I mean, it's how it should look even if you're using it in proper mode. But in the control tab, you can see that this is how test mode looks. Like you've got loads and loads and loads of generators. So if you have a few, if you have say 3 or 4 generators there, then you just put them, then you'll just see the 3 or 4 there. You won't see this massive list in this control tab. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So when you start, this is how you start, and this is how you run remote, program on remote, okay? So you go into presets tab, first of all. You should have all these tabs, by the way, as well. If you don't see all of these tabs, then go to utils and click toggle advanced features, and then you should see all of these tabs. Right, so now we're in presets mode because you have all the tabs there, and you also have your generators in control tab. So you should be able to see those there. You might have to click rescan devices from utils if you can't see them there. You might have to restart your software or your computer if you still can't see them. You have to check all your connections as well to make sure they're working. If you still can't see them, then contact Spooky2 technical support for help. But once you can see them and once everything's up and running, then you click on home. If you haven't downloaded the DH experimental frequencies, I would recommend that you do. Really highly recommend that you download this because you'll see a lot more that you can do with them, and they're very interesting and really helpful and fascinating as well. A lot of people have had success with just these ones. So once you're in the preset tab, now what you want to start with is this one, detox. Okay. I'm trying to go nice and slow because last time some of you found me too fast, so I'm trying to go slower today. Right, go on detox, then go on remote, click on remote, it's there underneath all those other ones. Okay, then you click on terrain, terrain in brackets RBY. You have to make sure that whatever mode you're using matches the preset. So don't use, for example, a scalar preset with the remote because you can damage your equipment doing that and it won't work anyway. So you have to use the ones that are in brackets R. So all the programs, all the presets that have R in brackets are the ones that are for the remote, okay? So then you'll click on this, terrain, right? And then you'll see here on the right, the notes, there's lots of information there. You can see in the presets chains that there are 15 presets in this chain. And then it tells you what they all are and also the order of them. Can you see that here? Presets. Yeah. So you're starting with remove metals, then you're removing chemical materials, then removing systemic toxins, then intestinal toxins, then systemic toxins again, then parasites and liver function, then kidney function, then you're cleaning the blood, and lastly, you're going to clear the lymphatic system. So that's the schedule there. It takes 11 days. So it's quite a long one, which is great because you can just set it and forget it with the remote. So after you've clicked that, now, before I move on to tell you what to do next, I'm going to tell you a little bit about these other ones that are here. Usually when you're running, for example, the Morgellons and Lyme protocol, you might want to run the detox maintenance one that's just above it here. You can also use this with cancer. You can also use it in between terrain runs. Some people use terrain once a month. Some people, I know someone who used it constantly for months, almost a year. I don't. I have probably run it maybe 4 times on myself in total. So I use that sparingly. I don't do it constantly, but I think it's good to run it once a month if you can tolerate it. If this one is too much for you, or if you have an amalgam film, if you have a metal filling in your mouth, you know, the silver ones, then use this one, terrain minus mercury, use this one. Because it won't leach out the metals from your teeth. Having said that, I have actually used this one on my mum, who does have metal in her mouth, and she was fine. She didn't have any problem with it, but it can be problematic if your filling is somewhat exposed, because then the mercury will come out and it will cause problems to your nervous system and other systems in your body. So it can be quite dangerous. I probably would avoid it. I would avoid it and use a terrain minus mercury. I used to have one filling that was a metal filling, and I got that removed in Malaysia actually last year. I got it taken out, and I got it done there because where I live in the UK, we don't actually have the proper we don't have the proper method to do it safely. So they won't put a rubber dam in your mouth here to make sure that you don't get any flakes of mercury while it's getting taken out. Whereas over there, I found a holistic dentist who did do it the proper way. The only thing that they didn't do, which I would have preferred that they do, is have a proper air filtration system so that the vapor was not going in the air. They didn't seem to take a measure for that. But at least they put a rubber dam in my mouth, which is not something I could get here. So yeah, that's a good one to do. And then you can also use the low power ones. So you can see there's a low power one that you can use. If you find that it's too strong, you're getting really bad detox symptoms like Herxheimer reactions from terrain. Some people do. I have seen it mentioned a few times. Some people do get that. So if you do, then don't run this one, run that one. I would run this one, the terrain low power, and see how you do with that one. And there are these other ones that you could use also, the non-violent low power, okay? So for this example, we're going to use a normal general terrain. So you click on that, go to the control tab. And here under generators, it says click overwrite generator here. And then you select the generator that you have the remote attached to, which for me, for example, number 1. And then you click start. Okay, so now we can see that it's running. How do we know that? Because we can see the seconds going up here. So it's running, and we can also see from here, this bar is moving. So we know that it's running. And we can also see here next to dwell, which is the number of seconds that the time has elapsed for. It's been running for 21 seconds. And it's also telling me here that this particular list right there is 3 minutes. Sorry, not the list. This particular frequency is 3 minutes long. So this one, 364.56 Hertz, is going to run for 3 minutes in total. And then after that, it will move to the next frequency, 393. And all the frequencies that are listed here are in this first preset. They make up the first preset, which is remove metal. So within a preset, you have presets as well. So I should just make that clear. So this, although this is a terrain preset, you have a preset within this. So you have, what were 11 presets within this. Sorry, was it 15? 15 presets, I think it was, that I showed you in the presets tab for this particular terrain preset. So it's on the first one. Now, say if you accidentally stop it, you don't realize you accidentally stopped it, and say it was already down to this frequency here, okay? Then what do you do to get back to it without having to go all the way to the start? What you would do is you would click this button, which is next to the start button, this little rectangular button there, click that, and that will resume from where you left off, okay? Now, if you change the program, you've changed this preset to something else, and then you thought, oh, I thought I was finished with the terrain, I just realized I wasn't, then what you would do in that case is you would find the terrain again from the presets tab, click on it again, and if you remember where you were up to, so say you were up to preset 6, then here you can just, in the preset field, you can put 6, and then click start. And then you can see when you click start, it's now starting from preset 6, the beginning of preset 6. Okay, so I hope that is making sense. You don't need to do anything else here, just let it run, just ignore everything else. Especially if you're a beginner, you don't need to pay attention to anything else that's on here. Yeah, you don't need to do anything else. And what you might want to look at though is the errors tab while it's running, just to make sure that you're not getting any errors showing up here to show that it's not working. If it's still working like it is right now in my test mode, then you won't see any generator errors, which is great. If you do, then just follow the guidance that's here where it tells you what the problem is. You might have to close the software, restart it. You might have to restart your computer. You might have to make an update to the hardware or something. So you can do that. It will tell you what to do, give you a prompt. And that's about it. Yeah, I think that's about all I want to show you on here in using the remote live. Now, if you've done the terrain for 11 days and after that you're ready to move on to something else, like say, for example, you want to try something from the DH experimental frequencies, then again, you would go, like I just did there, you click on DH experimental frequencies on the presets tab, click on DH experimental frequencies, scroll down to remote, and then you can select whatever it is that you're looking for. Now, what you can also do here is you can search. So if you want to search something like pain, then you can see some DH experimental frequencies show up here. But you want to choose the one for remote. So say if I go for this one, back pain and inflammation, I can see that it's got an R in brackets. Okay. Then again, you go to the control tab, go to overwrite generator, and then click on the specific generator to which your remote is connected to, and then click start again, like we did before. Yep. And then you do the same every time you click choose another preset. If you want to choose a different one, you can just stop this one, go back to presets, pick another category if you want to, like heal, remote, and then you can pick multivitamin and mineral, for example. I really like this one, daily wellness. I think that's a really nice one to use to have playing constantly. So you go back to overwrite generator and click the generator that corresponds to the remote. Okay, so that's how you do it. That's how you run a program. You've just successfully run your program. Just want to go to the chat box to see if there's anything on there. I don't have any system or internet tabs. Yeah, if you don't have the system or internet tabs, you can go on utils and click toggle advanced features. And then they should show up. If you click on that, they should show up. Oh, I'm glad to hear that, Roberta. I'm glad that this is helpful. Will this be on the website for replay? Yes, it should be uploaded onto YouTube as well. And also, I can't remember where the last one went, but there's an alternative platform to YouTube as well where this will be going. You can always email Spooky2 for the link that they can send to you when it's out. Okay. Need to leave and do need more instruction. Okay, are you, Dr. Walter, have you left? What about metal pins in the body? Yeah, if you have metal in your body and you're concerned about terrain, then I would probably speak to a doctor and just, talk about what this is and how it works. And if they understand and, they give you any kind of advice or they agree to monitor you, then you can try it. You can try the terrain minus mercury program. If the metal that you have inside has mercury in it. If it's another kind of metal, then obviously you would have to make that decision for yourself. How to make the multiple list of many generators show up again. Yeah, so Jill, if you have only one generator showing up because you only have one generator attached, then you will only see one. You shouldn't. The only reason I have a long list here is because this is in test mode, because I haven't attached any generators to this computer. So that's the reason this is showing up. This is test mode, just to play around with. It shouldn't look like this for you. You should have just the number of generators that you have attached. Please don't ask me about treating specific conditions in the Q&A. Last time I had a lot of that. Please don't do that. It's just because I can't, I'm not allowed to give you solutions to specific conditions publicly like this. I can't do that, otherwise I would. So I'm sorry about that, but I'm not allowed to do that. Thank you, Amal. Thank you for your comment. Thanks for joining. Do you have to use paper with the sample? Well, Sheila, if you don't use something to hold the sample, then, for example, if you use a nail, then the dust of the nail can go into the remote, and then your DNA can just always be in there, which you might not want if you're running frequencies for somebody else. You might not want those frequencies coming at you, but they will if your nail dust is in there. So that's one of the main reasons to be using a sticker, is just to protect your paper. What kind of paper do you use? I use, okay, you know what, let me not answer these questions right now because I'm going to get caught up in that. Let me just finish off the presentation, and then we can go over the questions, and put the questions please in the Q&A. Okay, now we're going to go back to the presentation. So just a second. Right, okay, here we are. Okay, so the key learning outcomes of this presentation were to understand how it works, its features, its applications, how quantum science is being used in healing in something like Spooky2, practical applications of how it's used for pain relief, detoxification, emotional wellness, chronic conditions, and we also talked about the safety and best practices. Okay, so what I want to do now is a quick quiz like we did last time, just a very short one, just to test your understanding. Before we do that, how are you feeling today? Are you feeling that you've learned something, or has this been helpful for you? Yeah. I mean, you can tell me if it's not. I won't mind. I'll take it as constructive criticism. Thank you, Pam. Thank you, everybody, Mike and Denise. Oh, great. Thank you so much. Okay, I hope that sounds good to me. It sounds like I didn't cram in this one. I thought I won't cram this time. Yeah, that's right, David. It's for beginners. Yeah. Yeah, last time I kind of thought I'll just go from like beginner level to like everything, but I think that was just too much for some people. So I wanted to make it easier to digest this time for complete beginners. Okay, that's great, Nicola. I'm glad that it still helped you, even though you're not a beginner. Great. Yeah, it will be going online. So you will be able to watch it again on replay. Paul, I will be leaving my details at the end so you can contact me for further support. Okay. Right. Okay. So let's go to the quiz now. I'm really glad that this has been helping. I've seen really nice feedback. Thank you for your kindness. Okay, quiz. Let's go to the first question. Right. What's the primary purpose of the remote? Is it A, to send frequencies to other devices? Is it B, for biofeedback? Is it C, to deliver frequencies without physical contact? Or is it D, which I can't see because I have the bar of Zoom at the bottom and I can't seem to move it. Just 1 second. Let's see if I can. Nope. Okay, you can see D, so please put your answers in the chat box. I'm sorry, I can't read that one out. There it is. Now I can see it. To synchronize the generator with the user's heartbeat. So what is the primary purpose? Have a look at A, B, C, and D. I'll give you a few seconds. Put your answers in the chat box, and then I'll tell you what the answer is. Wow, almost everybody. I think everybody has got this right. Yeah, everyone's got this right. Well done. Yes, it is C. Brilliant. Fantastic. That is correct. I'm really happy to hear that. I'm super happy to see that you got that right. Okay. Right. Question 2. How far away can you be from the Spooky2 remote for it still to work? Is it A, within 10 meters? Is it B, any distance? Is it C, only in the same city? Or is it D, within your house only? So please put your answers in the chat box. I think someone raised their hands. We'll go into Q&A shortly, and then I can take some questions and answers then. Right, so what are your answers? Let's see, everyone's saying the same answer, which is good. Yeah, you're right, it's B. Well done. Amazing, you're doing amazing. Okay, I think this is the last question. Can you run multiple remotes on one generator at the same time? Who's been listening carefully, because I did mention this. Is it A, yes, unlimited? Is it B, no, only one remote per generator? Is it C, yes, but only in contact mode? Or is it D, yes, if running many programs? Oh, we've had a few different answers here, but mostly the same answer. It looks like it's between A and B from what I'm getting in the chat. Someone said not sure. No, it's only one remote per generator. The answer is B. So I think the reason why some of you might be getting confused is because you're thinking maybe of the X Pro, because that's got 2 generators in it. So it's one box, but it's got 2 generators in it. And on that one, you can do 2, 1 per generator on the same box. This one here, this is the XM, which I put as an example in the image. This has only 1 generator in it. So this one box has 1 generator in it. So you can only attach 1 remote or one thing, like one mode to it at any one time. So you can use it for this, or you can use it for contact or cold laser. You just can't do more than one thing at one time on this one box. Does that make sense? Does that help those that didn't know the answer to this question? Yeah, I understand that, Paul. Don't worry. Got it. Okay, great. Fantastic. Okay, well done. So you all did really well at the quiz. And now, yeah, that's it. There was just 3 questions. So I want to say thank you very much for joining me today. Thank you so much for paying attention. We've got still over 200 participants at the end of this, which is great. Thank you for sticking around and for listening to this webinar. I'm glad that you found it helpful. So what I want to leave you with is a few things. There's quite a bit of things going on this slide, so I'll just explain it. I've also got my Instagram page QR code. There's not much on that page at the moment, I'm afraid, but I'm working on it. I'm working towards it. So if you want to keep in touch, then feel free to, or just to follow my progress with my own practice, and feel free to, take a snapshot of that QR code. I also have a free PDF guide on the remote, which I made especially for this webinar. So if you want to grab that, then you just have to go to bit.ly, that's bit.ly/remote by Dr. SC. That's there on the slide, bit.ly/remote by Dr. SC, and you can grab that guide. If you want to contact me for coaching. So what happened last time is I didn't leave anything, like any way that you could really contact me except for my Instagram page. And afterwards, I was informed that a lot of people were trying to reach out to me. So I thought, okay, that's not very helpful if I'm not even reachable. So that's why I put this up there now. That's my email address. If you want coaching and further support, then you can reach out to me about that, and I can send you some more information. sundas.chohan@gmail.com. But for product inquiries, like if you want information on the technicalities of the products, then I would suggest that you contact Spooky2 support@spooky2-mall.com. Okay, thank you so much for attending. Thank you, Spooky2, for allowing me to be here. Now we're going to do Q&As, okay? So stick around for that if you want the answers to questions, or if you want to come on and have a chat. 1 second, let me just have a look at the questions first that are already on there. Okay, so it looks like Zara's been working hard at answering many of the questions that have come up. Thank you so much, Zara, once again, for doing that in this webinar too. Okay, I've seen a number of you raise your hands, but before we go to that, let me just answer the questions that are already on here. So I'm now aware that you can't actually see the questions that I'm flicking through right now, so I'll read them out. There are lots here, by the way. There are 54. So I'll try and get through as many as I can. What are we on? How are we doing for time? Yeah, we have some time. So I'll go through as many as I can. And then if there's still time at the end, then I'll definitely take some live questions on the mic. Okay. I need to test, heal, and kill. What machine would be the best for all 3? Maureen Gibson is asking. So I don't know what it is that what you're dealing with, but I would say that you can start with either the XM or actually I would start with the X Pro if you want to do biofeedback without using the pulse, because the pulse is good, but it's a bit slow. But with the X Pro, you can run contact. So I would use that to begin with. A lot of people begin with that. So you can also do the same thing. You can use X Pro, and with that you can run a biofeedback, and then you can also do the healing and killing, etc., through the contact mode. And you can also, because when you have the X Pro, then you'll also have the second generator on the same box, which you can attach the remote to, and then you can also run frequencies on that. So what happens when I've done that? You would like to answer this? I think that's okay. I don't know if that's showing up as answered now, but I hope it has. Joe, you mentioned to cut fingernail close to the nail bed. How about the nail from a dog? Go any closer and it bleeds. Does a normal cut still work? Yeah, it should still work. I wouldn't, I mean, you don't need to go so close that your nail bed bleeds. You don't need to go, yeah, you don't need to do that. You should still have DNA in that nail. So yeah, just feel free to cut it as you normally would. Don't use it to diagnose yourself, Kathleen. What I meant is some people use reverse lookup, and on the reverse lookup, all kinds of conditions come up. Usually, you know, they can be pretty scary. So don't use that. It's, you know, it's just that there are lots of frequencies resonating with all kinds of conditions. And one condition has multiple frequencies, composed of multiple frequencies. So you don't necessarily have that condition just because you had one frequency that resonated with that one condition. That's what I meant by that. I hope that makes sense. Roberta asks, once a DNA disk is created, what's the lifetime of one person's DNA? So actually, I don't think anyone knows the answer to that. It's a good question, one I've asked myself too. Don't know. You know, DNA can last for a very long time, like, you know, thousands of years. But for this specific use, does the frequency kind of affect its viability? I'm not sure. I don't think anyone knows. Some people change it every week. Some people change it every month. Some people change it once a year. I've done all of them. I've done all three. I don't change it every week. I think I did a few times and then I stopped, and I didn't feel that I needed to. But I don't have the precise answer for you, sorry. Ricardo, I've done the terrain protocol a long time ago, but I'd like to do detox using my DNA weekly. What program do I use except the terrain protocol? You can use detox maintenance. You can use, there are multiple programs on there, but is there a reason you want to use something different? I mean, if someone's got an infection, for example, then you're detoxing by targeting that particular pathogen that's causing the infection, which effectively would detox you because you're removing it out of your system. So you want to target those if you know what they are, or you can use biofeedback. Can I use passport photo in the remote instead of a nail? No. Jeremy, you can't use a passport photo, I'm afraid. I think you're thinking of radionics, and that's a separate device. When detoxing, how do you know when to finish in case detoxing to no toxins are fully flushed and not sitting somewhere more toxic to body? It's very powerful. I have more generators coming. I'm sharing my needs and my older dog. So switching from me, then removing me and helping my dog. So are you asking when to finish? The terrain protocol is 11 days long, so it will be finished after that. You can repeat it on a monthly basis or more often if you need to and if your body handles it. If running terrain detox or other programs on myself and my partner who live together, will either frequencies affect each other? Also, my partner is sensitive, mediumistic, will it affect her? It shouldn't affect your partner if you're running it on yourself. But yeah, sometimes there is this kind of like frequency, energy, enmeshment idea, and some people believe that it can. I see where you're coming from. Possibly, there's no definitive answer. But if you're running it on yourself, you'd hope that it's affecting you primarily and not those around you, unless you have their DNA in the same remote. Denise, so are you saying that you still have to get to the root cause of your issue and not use this for curing only? Well, if you cure something, you've already reached the root cause. But yes, you want to get to the root cause to be able to cure. Or you can do symptomatic control, just like conventional medicine does. Jeremy, can I use a passport? Okay, we've already answered that one. Where do you get the stickers? Stickers come with the generator. They also come with a remote. I've ordered a remote before and they came with a remote as well. Can I use ordinary stickers if hologram stickers? Should it be back to back? You don't use the hologram stickers for the normal use of the remote. The hologram stickers are used for the imprinting. So you use, but your question about can you use ordinary stickers? Yes, you can. If you find a sticker that will hold the piece of nail inside, you can use that. Have you had any success with cataracts? I've not used it for cataracts. I've done the terrain protocol a long time ago, but I'd like to do detoxification using my DNA weekly. What program do I use except the terrain? Is this the same person who asked before this question? I've already answered this one. Can the Spooky help with TBI, traumatic brain injury? Can't see why it could not help support that way. I mean, there are programs to help with, to support the brain, to support brain healing, regeneration, recovery, you know, emulation of supplements that can help the brain. So I can't see why not. And then you have biofeedback too. You might also be able to search for that particular injury in the programs, and you might see a program come up. Anonymous, can the nail specimen be changed during continuous treatment without stopping the program? Is there a reason you wouldn't want to just pause it and then change it? I mean, I've sometimes done it where I've just, you know, kind of popped in a nail without pausing it, and that's been fine. I've not had any adverse reaction from doing that. So theoretically, yeah, you can just pop in a nail or take out the other one while it's still running. I mean, I've done it. I've not suffered because I've done that. So I'd say it's fine, but if you want to pause it, you can pause it. Does the dwell multiplier affect the effect? What the dwell multiplier will do is it will affect the speed at which the frequency runs. So if you make it smaller, then that frequency won't run for as long as it would if it was set at 180. So if you reduce 180 seconds to, say, 60 seconds, and you set that to 60, then it will only run for 60. Oh wait, you're asking me about the multiplier, and I'm giving you the dwell. Again, I think it just affects the speed. If I'm wrong, then, you know, feel free to correct me in the chat box. Greg, is it possible to receive helpful frequencies from using both remote and scalar Rife modes at the same time with different programs on each mode? Or will the frequencies conflict or override each other? Should one just use one program with mode only for best results? I think, and usually Spooky2 has also recommended using, for example, when you're running terrain, you could run the remote, and then you can also run some of the presets on the terrain that you're running on the remote on, you know, scalar, for example, at the same time, just to get a stronger result. So they don't conflict or override with each other, but they can be used in tandem with each other for even better results. Does my mom acknowledge that Spooky2 helped her? Yes. Marilyn, yes, she does, especially since her symptoms came back, and she also feels that it was connected to that move that I talked about. Yeah, she does. Even I do now, like 100%. Brenda, if using terrain without the mercury, does it still target other metals you may have? Don't think so. I think it's just connected to mercury, that one. Rav, can an individual absorb frequencies if they are in the scalar field, which is being emitted by the Spooky remote, even if their DNA isn't in the device? As far as I'm aware, the scalar field of the Spooky remote doesn't go that far. It, like, you know, in terms of feet, it doesn't go much further than the black remote box. That's what I had understood. So I don't think you'll need to worry about that. But feel free to like ask that somewhere else and see what answer you get. You know, on the Spooky2 website now, there is a chat bot, which I've tried out just because I was curious to see how well it works. And I found that the answers are quite accurate. I think the answers are quite accurate. But obviously there might be questions on there that some people might not get accurate answers to, but I found it to be accurate. So you can also use that. However, I would be cautious using it to help you with specific health conditions. I would definitely verify that with a human. What type of practitioner are you again? I haven't heard of before. And it was, so I'm not a medical doctor. I am doing frequency healing. So healing, holistic healing. Paul, just popping all my questions here all in one. Okay, we're running the terrain protocol through the remote using DNA fingernails. Downloaded the presets into the Generator X and running as a standalone. Okay, running the GBM preset with a Fanatron tube. Any tips? Are you doing the cancer protocol? I would recommend doing the cancer protocol. It's in the software. So you will find the guide for the cancer protocol in there. I know that there was another trainer. Just trying to remember when that was and who it was. Bill something. Is it Bill McCall? I don't remember his name. But there was somebody who taught about another protocol. I think it's one that maybe he came up with, because I believe there are now 3 cancer protocols. Before there was just one, which is the one that's in the software. But you can definitely do that one that's in the software. So I'd recommend doing that. Paul Lenardi, that was an answer for you. Roberta, does a preset stop running once it completes running, or does it just keep repeating? It will keep repeating if it's set on the setting to repeat. So in the software, if it says repeat chain, or where it says repeat, etc. in the software, if that's set to 0, then it will keep running in a loop. If it's set to 1, then it will only run once. So it depends on what that's set to. What if you have metal elsewhere in your body? Oh, I've already answered that one. When using the terrain program, will it affect the metal words? A lot of questions about metal. Can you show us how to see what numbers of frequencies are related to? I don't know what you mean by that. Do you mean, so I'm just trying to understand your question, Josephine. When you say numbers of frequencies are related to, do you mean like conditions? So if you go into the programs tab, then you type in any condition, you'll see what comes up for that condition and all the frequencies, all the numbers that are associated with that condition. That's how I'm understanding your question. So I hope I've answered it. Mark, if you're running a preset and discover you may need to reduce a voltage, what steps do you take to stop or pause what you're doing, what you're running? Where do you change the voltage and the resume? So that will be, 1 second. Don't know if I'll be able to show you right now. So it's in the settings. Yeah, settings. If you go in the settings tab on Spooky2 software, you know where it says amplitude under signal settings in the top left, it says amplitude. So you can change that. You can reduce 5 to something like 2.5. So you can reduce it to half. And then you can go on control tab, override generator, and click on the generator to start. Does that make sense? Right, now how do I get back to the Q&A? Sorry, just 1 minute. I've lost the Q&A. Right, okay. So that's how to do that, Mark. Marilyn, are all the programs included? If not, how do you add additional programs? So Spooky2 has already made them all freely available to everybody. Like I said, you don't even need to have the equipment to be able to see what's on the database. You can download the software and you can have a look at the database. You can look through it. You can type in all kinds of conditions. It's all there. It's freely accessible to the public. It's amazing, isn't it? So Wanik says, can we apply more presets, more than one preset before we overwrite in control tab? Yes, you can. You can do it with chain editor. You can add more presets. You can sometimes even do it without chain editor if your repeat is set to 0 for each of those presets. So give it a go and see how it works for you. You might have to add the chain editor if it doesn't work. David asks, how are all these frequencies tested to verify that they are authentic and not just made up? That's a really good question, David. So my understanding is that these frequencies are gathered from research, from studies, and from independent, just independent people that are doing this work in their own clinics, etc. And so it's kind of a mix of sources. That's why this is considered to be experimental. Like Spooky2 equipment is considered to be experimental for this reason. But you can, just try it. And if the frequency resonates with you, then it does. I mean, it's a good question, but I know also that it does seem to have an effect. So when the frequencies resonate, they help. And I see that this effect is beyond any placebo effect. But, I understand that. I'm not speaking from a clinical trial when I say so. It'll be great to see a day when, big profit companies actually decide that they want to invest in research, proper research. That will be a great day. And they're not held back by their competing interests of drugs, etc. Rebecca, the DH experimental states that we should be close using the remote feature. You may have covered this, but how does this work remote? Yeah, I know it does say that, but I don't sit next to the remote when I'm using it. I'm not sure why it says that there. That's a good point. I feel like I should ask somebody at Spooky2 about that, actually. I'm not sure is the answer to that. I think it says something about your aura and that it's better to be for the remote to be in the aura, but yeah, I don't know. Because obviously terrain works without you needing to be next to the remote, so I'm sure they can too. Monica, what's melatonin in the wellness preset? Do we need to insert a program? If you see programs that have cust in the brackets, then that just means it's a custom program. That's probably one that you made yourself. That's why that would come up, because you might have altered the dwell or something and then saved it. And that's why it's showing up as CUST in the brackets. Ed, do you need any additional hardware to connect to multiple generators to one laptop? You can connect multiple generators to one laptop without additional hardware. If you have one of those USB connector things, there's one at Spooky2 that can hold up to 10. So you can have 10, but obviously you can buy more of them, like more, I don't know what they're called, USB connector thing, USB connector. And you can connect multiple if you want more than 10 on one laptop. But I've not done that myself. I don't have more than 10 to one laptop. I mean, I think I have 13 or 12 or something on one laptop because I have the X Pros and each one of them has 2, but it's still, those 2 translate as one USB lead because the box has only one USB lead for that one. So I get more than 10 generators on one computer because of that, because I'm using some X Pros. But if I was using just XMs, then I would have only 10 to each setup. But I'm aware that you can have more. And some people do. Some people have like 20 or something to one computer. So they just have multiple, what I think is multiple USB leads on that one computer to be able to connect them all. Karen, when running DH presets, can I load 3 or 4 presets to run one after another as a chain? Or do I have to load only one preset at a time? You can have more than one, as I've answered before. Can we wipe the remote with alcohol from time to time? Yes, and then leave it to dry, air dry. If we use imprint stickers for pain, how soon will the effects be felt? It can be instantaneous. It can be very quick for pain. Roberta, but I didn't talk about imprinting today, so I'm not going to go into that in depth. Roberta, once the DNA disk is created, what's the lifetime of one person's DNA? We've done that one as well. I don't know how some of these questions have been repeated. Maybe it's a technical glitch or something. I'm seeing a lot of the same questions now. Can we use tape for our nail in the remote? Yeah, some people use tape. The paper tape, right? I don't know about other materials. I mean, I think theoretically it should be fine to use plastic or something, but I would just stick with paper just because that's what everyone's been using and which has been known to work. And if I don't know something, I just avoid it. Does the preset stop running once it completes running? We've done that one as well. I'm seeing a lot of the same ones come up and I don't know why that's happening. The best to get a separate computer. Yeah, Liber, is it best to get a separate computer to run Spooky2 as opposed to using your everyday laptop? Yes, I think it is, definitely. Because you're not, like, this equipment is not mobile. The remote, like I'm not going to be walking around the house holding this in my hand. So you would need to definitely have separate equipment. Unless you have a PC setup. I mean, I use laptops, but if you have a PC setup, and obviously you're not moving the PC around the house, so then you can have your Spooky2 equipment running on there while you work on other things. As long as your processor can handle it all, you're fine. Joe, the detox preset, when I try to use it, there is no start, just scan. Am I missing something? Yeah, there should be a start button. Should be a start button. If you can't see it, please contact Spooky2 technical support. Christian, I have a last question. I've been running Spooky2 Remote for about 2 months on my whole family, running programs like Terrain Detox to start and running between Candida and other programs as well. I've been running programs consecutively and non-stop on everybody. Are you supposed to stop in between sessions? Any suggestions? Well, you could just, give it a break for a week or two, see how it goes. Have you seen improvement in the Candida symptoms? I always think the best way to assess if something is working or not, and to assess if you have an issue, is through symptoms. Like for me, that's just the bottom line of everything healing related. What are the symptoms? Sometimes you can have something considered to be serious, but not have symptoms. So if you don't have symptoms and you're fine, then okay. And I don't want to be controversial. Let's not go into that too much, actually. Are you supposed to stop in between sessions? Any suggestions? 2 nails of 2 different people per sticker? No, I wouldn't put, I mean, I don't know the answer for why, but I just know that people put each individual's DNA in a separate sticker rather than putting them together in the same sticker. I don't know why, I can't give you an explanation, but that's just how it's done. So I would just stick to it, doing it that way rather than mixing the nails together in the same sticker. Because, I mean, realistically, if you wanted to use someone else's nail in another remote, but you don't want to use person A's, so you want to use person B, but not person A's, then now you can't separate them because you put them in the same sticker. But I mean, that's without me going into the whole energy enmeshment stuff that I read about. Pekka, any recommended books or video lectures about quantum entanglement? I don't think I have any actually on this subject. So sorry, I don't have any recommendations. Sonia, the remote generator is directly connected to the computer. It's not connected to the Spooky2 scaler machine in any way. Oh, thanks, Zara, for answering that one. Yeah. Yeah, no, Sonia, the Spooky2 scaler and remote are two separate modes of treatment. So they're two separate, like two separate machines. They're not connected to each other, no. They're both, like, consider them both outputs. So the scaler will output frequencies and the remote will output frequencies. You don't have them merged together or linked together anyway, in any way. Do we have to order the nail stickers from China or are they available in the UK? The nail stickers will come with the equipment. What paper for biofeed stickers? You don't need, so when you're running a biofeedback, you don't use stickers. You can't do biofeedback via remote. If you're running a preset and discover you may need to reduce the voltage, what steps do you take to stop or pause what you're running? Yeah, we've done that one already. I have some of the silver stickers. The silver stickers are actually not for that purpose. You can just get some regular tape or plain sticker and put your nail inside that rather than use a silver one, because the silver one is for imprinting and you might want to use that for imprinting. Maria, can you use a horse hair sample for treating horse remotely? Yeah, you can do that. I can't see why not. As long as you've got the bulb of the hair in there, then yes. Sandra, can we use tape for our nail? Yeah. Christian, been running Spooky2. This one's quite long, so I'm just going to get to the question. You can, yeah, you can stop I've seen a number of people have asked the same kind of question. If you're running multiple programs for a long time and you're wondering whether you should stop, just give it a rest after 2-3 months for about a week or two and then resume again. And you will know after 2 to 3 months if that's actually helping you or not and whether you should be continuing or not. If it's not helping, then you probably shouldn't need to continue anyway. You can try something else and try a different one. What about micropore for the nail? Micropore, don't know what that is, sorry. Can we buy everything here in the UK? Annabelle asks, is everything from the UK? It's actually from Spooky2 in China. So when you order, the order comes from China. Denise Manning. Even though it comes from China, they use couriers like DHL. And they usually give you an option of 3 different ones that you can choose from. So it will be a courier that you're familiar with. Denise, is there a program that you can run that will provide feedback as to what toxins may be present in your body? Yeah, it's the biofeedback. When you run the biofeedback, that kind of toxin information should come up. And especially if you place the pads of, I know we're not talking about contact today, but because a question relates to it, I have to answer. So the contact pads you can put on either side of your abdomen and do a biofeedback that way. I can't give specific advice for specific conditions, I'm afraid. Endotrans causing sleep issues. I can't do that on a public platform, you see. Suggestions on helping with surfer's eye. Okay, let's see if there's anything else. Which guide, Judy? How do you download the guide? Please contact Spooky2 support and they can send you info on how to get the guide out, because I don't know which one you're referring to. So if you are struggling with many health issues, if you're struggling with many health issues, you can try something like daily wellness, definitely terrain as well, and something like detox maintenance in between the terrain runs that you do, because it will just help your whole body. Can you show us to combine presets again? I didn't do that in this. That's not really beginner level. So I didn't go over that in this one. We can do that next time. There are other, you can actually just go on YouTube and put in Spooky2, maybe put in Spooky2 chain editor, and then you'll see a video on just that. I think it's a few minutes long, so you can find it that way. Right, micropore is a porous tape. Micropore is a porous tape. Ah, I see. Okay, thanks, Christine. Yeah, I'm sure you can use that. Were you asking me if you can use that? Sorry, I forgot your question initially. I think you were asking me if you can use that for nails, or you were telling me that you can use that for nails. Yeah, that's fine. Dr. Bill McGraw verified that. Oh yeah, that was his name, yes. Analyzer will show the heavy metals in your body without a blood test. Great, thanks for that reminder. Thank you. Okay, great. I think I've got through them all now. Right, where are we? We've still got 138 people. Who has anyone put their hand up? Okay, we've got a few minutes, I think, so I'll just, Dennis, I've asked you to unmute. Do you want to say something? Because you raised your hand. Dennis Kopp. Would you like to unmute yourself? Okay, I'm going to go back in the chat box in the meantime. I have given you the floor, so if you want to say something, you can. I think there were a few people that were waiting, but I think they've dropped off. So I can't let you speak anymore. There you are, Dennis. Hi, Dennis.
Hi. To get to terrain, you go to the presets. You go to detox first, and then from detox to terrain, and then work your way through.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Do you know what to do after that? So you select the terrain. Yeah, double click terrain. Then you go to Control tab.
Yep.
Click Overwrite Generator.
Yep.
And then select the generator to which your remote is connected to.
Perfect.
Okay, and then click Start.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the process I just got done doing. So yes, it works perfectly.
Okay, perfect. I'm glad to hear it.
Thank you very much.
All right, thanks for joining. Right, is that it? Is there anything else? Let's see. Sorry, just 1 second. I don't have a second screen here, so like everything's on one screen. Sorry, I asked in Q&A, so I figured I'd send a question here. Smart to run programs on each organ to help kickstart all the organs. Yeah, you did. I thought I answered you, Marv. So what I said is that you can use detox maintenance. I said you can use, because rather than, if you have like loads and loads of, your whole body is affected, because it sounds like that's the case here. Unless you want to go through each organ one by one, which could take forever, you could just use the detox programs, because if you're having health issues affecting all of you, your entire body, then it can only help you really to do a detox and remove what could be causing the issues. So you can do terrain multiple times. You can do detox maintenance in between the terrain treatments. So rather than having terrain on a loop, which I personally don't feel comfortable with, you might, I don't know, but if you're not going to do it endlessly, then you can have the detox maintenance in between. You've used a detox. Yeah, I wouldn't use it all the time. I don't feel comfortable using the same program for detox all the time. So maybe just take a break from doing that. I get really affected by detox, so I can't have it running constantly. And I don't think it would be effective for me personally to have that running constantly. Some programs would be effective, I think, to run constantly. Like, for example, I gave the example of nerve repair because nerves take so long to heal. And so I think it's helpful to have the frequencies that will help to entrain the nerve repair running constantly rather than stopping it and it just kind of, the process just stopping in the middle of it. So it just depends. Yeah, exactly, Marv. Thank you so much, Zara. Okay, great. Can you still see my details? I think that screen is still up there. So yeah, yeah, my information's on there. If you want to contact me, please feel free to go ahead and also grab that PDF guide, which I hope will summarize how to use a remote as well in a very easy to access way. So you don't have to watch the whole video again. I've literally summarized it all on that PDF. So feel free to grab that. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. I think we're going to stop here. Oh, wait, did someone else raise a hand? Nope. Okay, great. Yeah, thank you so much for attending. And thanks to Zara as well. It's really late where she is in the world. So thank you so much. And to all those as well, other people who have attended and it's really late where you are. Thank you for sticking around or for sacrificing your sleep for this. And I hope that this will be available to you soon as well on replay. It should be within the next few days. So please feel free to come back and revisit this information. And I'll see you soon. Take care, everybody. Thanks so much, Josephine. Live, everybody that's saying thank you. I see you. Thank you very much. You're welcome. You're most welcome. Right, I'm going to log out from here now. Okay. See everybody.